And, he talked about it. It was just a matter of time before she had that breakthrough.
Before the first ball was struck at Wimbledon, a respected voice in tennis had already predicted what was coming. Former world no. For in 1997 US Open finalist Greg Rusedski said it plainly during a late June 2026 podcast. Eala's breakthrough wasn't a question of if only when. Days later, the world began watching that prediction turn into reality on the sport's biggest stage.
Lefty, the ball just slides a little bit away more with the slice serve as well.
A 21-year-old left-hander, Eala, had already caught Greg Rusedski's attention long before the spotlight fully arrived. The real story isn't whether his prediction proves correct, it's what he recognized in her game before everyone else did. If you're following Eala's remarkable rise, subscribe and enable notifications for complete match coverage, post-match reactions, and exclusive updates. Entering Wimbledon 2026 as the No. 29 seed, Eala achieved a historic milestone, becoming the first player from the Philippines to earn a Grand Slam singles seeding.
You just beat the world number 2 on maybe her favorite surface on grass.
Eala entered the 2026 grass court season with growing respect, but few expected her to become one of the biggest talking points in tennis. At just 21 years old, the left-hander from the Philippines had shown flashes of brilliance, yet many analysts still viewed her as a promising player rather than an immediate threat to the sport's biggest names. That perception changed almost overnight. Before her breakthrough week in Berlin, the conversation surrounding Eala was cautious. Commentators praised her potential but often described her as a future top 20 player rather than someone capable of challenging the world's elite on the biggest stages. Attention focused more on her setbacks than her progress. Her early exit at Roland Garros, a second-round defeat in Madrid, and a disappointing result in Stuttgart became the evidence many used to argue that she still needed more time before taking the next step. Even respected analysts who admired her talent encouraged patience, believing her biggest successes were still years away. Berlin completely changed that narrative. In the round of 16, Eala faced one of the toughest possible opponents on grass. Across the net stood Elena Rybakina, a Grand Slam champion widely considered one of the strongest players on the surface. Expectations heavily favored the higher-ranked star, especially with her powerful serve and aggressive style. The statistics suggested Rybakina played well enough to win. She fired numerous aces, dominated behind her first serve, and dictated many of the rallies. Yet Eala refused to be overwhelmed. Instead of trying to overpower her opponent, she attacked the second serve, anticipated patterns brilliantly, and consistently redirected pace with remarkable timing. Her victory wasn't built on luck or a brief hot streak. It came from disciplined tactics, fearless shot selection, and outstanding court awareness. She recognized opportunities where others saw only pressure and executed her plan with impressive maturity. Just 2 days later, Eala proved the first victory was no accident. She defeated another top 10 opponent, Alina Svitolina, in straight sets, completing one of the most impressive stretches of her young career. Beating 2 elite players on grass within a matter of days instantly transformed how the tennis world viewed her. Suddenly, discussions were no longer centered on future potential, they focused on what she was already accomplishing. What happened after those victories made the moment even more memorable. Instead of celebrating with bold statements or predicting greater success, Eala's first instinct was to call her family. Still overwhelmed by everything that had happened, she admitted she was shaking during match point and could barely process the magnitude of the win. Sharing that emotional moment with her parents revealed the humility that has become one of her defining qualities. For longtime supporters, that reaction perfectly captured who she is. Behind the growing headlines remains a grounded young athlete who continues to value family above everything else. The rankings soon reflected her remarkable progress. Eala climbed into the world's top 30 and earned the No. 29 seed at Wimbledon, making history as the first player from the Philippines to receive a Grand Slam singles seeding. It was a milestone that represented years of hard work and signaled that her rise was no longer based on promise alone, it was backed by results. Another powerful endorsement followed. 5-time Wimbledon singles champion Venus Williams selected Eala as her doubles partner for Bad Homburg and Wimbledon. Experienced champions rarely choose partners casually, especially on grass, where chemistry, movement, and tactical awareness are essential. The decision spoke volumes about the respect Eala had earned from one of the greatest players in tennis history. That brings the story back to Greg Rusedski. As a former world number 4, US Open finalist, and one of the most respected voices in tennis broadcasting, Rusedski understands what separates good players from genuine contenders, particularly on grass courts. When discussing Eala, he didn't rely on hype or emotional praise. Instead, he broke down the technical details that make her dangerous: her ability to take the ball early, her natural left-handed angles, her sharp anticipation, and the way the lower grass court bounce complements her aggressive timing. Those observations explained why he viewed Eala differently from many others. While much of the tennis world was still discovering her potential, he was already analyzing her as a player capable of creating serious problems for the sport's biggest stars. Grass rewards players who strike the ball early, keep points short, and use angles to force opponents out of position. Greg Rusedski believes those qualities perfectly match Eala's game. During his podcast, he highlighted how the faster surface complements her natural timing, allowing her to take control of rallies before opponents can settle. He also pointed to one particular weapon that could become especially dangerous throughout Wimbledon: her left-handed slice serve, which curves away from a right-hander's forehand in the deuce court. Throughout tennis history, that serve has been one of the most effective patterns on grass. It has helped many great left-handers create immediate pressure by opening the court from the very first shot. Rusedski's point wasn't that Eala plays exactly like past champions, but that her natural strengths fit the unique demands of Wimbledon better than many people realize. His conclusion was simple. In his view, grass offers Eala her best opportunity to make a deep run at a Grand Slam. That statement carried weight because it came from someone who understands the surface at the highest level. As a former world number 4 and US Open finalist, Rusedski wasn't making a prediction based on hype. He was breaking down tactics, patterns, and matchups. The media quickly focused on one theme: Eala had become an extremely dangerous opponent. That shift in language matters. There is a major difference between describing a player as promising and describing her as someone capable of disrupting an entire tournament. Prospects are discussed in terms of potential. Dangerous players are discussed in terms of how opponents must prepare to face them. That is the category Eala suddenly entered after her performances on grass. The excitement surrounding her has extended far beyond the court. Every tournament she has played during the grass season has featured growing numbers of Filipino supporters. From Birmingham to Berlin and now Wimbledon, crowds wearing Philippine colors have created an atmosphere rarely seen for a Southeast Asian player. Their presence has become one of the most memorable stories of the season, reflecting the growing influence of tennis in a country with more than 110 million people. For the Women's Tennis Association, Eala represents more than one successful player. She represents an entirely new audience discovering the sport. Every victory introduces tennis to millions of potential fans, creating opportunities for future tournaments, sponsorships, and young athletes inspired to follow her path. As Wimbledon begins, 3 storylines dominate the conversation. The first is her opening round match against experienced Mexican player Renata Zarazua, an opponent capable of making every point physical and competitive. A strong start will be essential if Eala hopes to build momentum during the tournament. The second storyline is even bigger. If both players advance as expected, a third-round meeting with defending champion Iga Swiatek would become one of the most anticipated matches of the tournament. Their previous encounters have shown that Eala possesses the fearless shot-making needed to challenge the very best, making a potential rematch must-watch tennis. The third storyline unfolds in doubles, where Eala teams up with Venus Williams. Every practice session, every warm-up, and every doubles match attracts enormous attention because it pairs one of tennis' greatest champions with one of its fastest rising stars. The partnership has become one of Wimbledon's most fascinating attractions. Of course, the path ahead is far from perfect. Just before arriving at Wimbledon, Eala suffered a straight sets defeat to Elise Mertens in Bad Homburg. Critics quickly pointed to that result as evidence that the Berlin breakthrough might have been temporary. Questions resurfaced about consistency and whether she could maintain her highest level over multiple tournaments. Yet anyone following her career closely knows setbacks have rarely defined her. 1 year earlier, she came painfully close to winning her first WTA Tour title, holding multiple championship points before falling in a heartbreaking final. Many young players would have struggled to recover from such a loss. Instead, Eala responded by continuing to improve, using disappointment as motivation rather than allowing it to become a lasting burden. That resilience has become one of her greatest strengths. The emotional phone call to her family after the Berlin victories revealed a player who remains grounded despite growing international attention. The difficult defeats that came before those celebrations helped shape the confidence she now carries onto the biggest stages in tennis. Perhaps that is what Greg Rusedski recognized before many others did. He wasn't simply evaluating rankings or recent results. He was identifying a player whose game continues to improve, whose mentality grows stronger after setbacks, and whose style naturally fits one of the sport's most prestigious tournaments. Now the spotlight shifts entirely to Wimbledon. Can Eala break through into the second week? Will she reach the round of 16, push into the quarterfinals, or produce another unforgettable upset against one of the tournament favorites? Those questions will soon be answered on the grass courts of the All England Club. One thing is already clear: Eala is no longer viewed as a future possibility. She has become a genuine contender capable of changing the tournament, and the rest of the field now has to prove it can stop her.